Hey guys, welcome to a replay analysis. This is currently diamond level, and we're doing a analysis for Mr. One Free Belly Rub. And we're going to help him figure out how to play Zerg versus Terran a little bit better. This man is the Terran assassin. I've seen it myself. But he's starting to run into the immovable object that is Shengi, the immovable Terran. So we need to help him figure it out. How do we get past this? Alright, so your hatchery timing is fine. Nothing wrong with it. Everything is great. Your build's fine. The larva usage is fine. You're not wasting money. Your overlord movement is a little high. Not a fan. I don't know how often you run into Terrans who go Marine first and kill your overlord. And if you, I would argue that if you did, or I mean, I would say if you did run into that a lot, I think this is okay. But if you don't really run into that very often, I'm not a big fan of this overlord. Really depends on what you're thinking. But if the reasoning is I hate fucking Marines killing my overlord, I think it's okay. It's fine. I'm not gonna say that that's wrong. I just want you to make sure though, when you do eventually get here, check the natural. Don't just sit at the bottom and then be out of range of the natural where it's like dark. Make sure you check it still. All right, dude. This drone right now should be rallied to your third base. Drone 20 should be rallied to the third. It should be like literally rallied to like right there. So this guy right here, that's coming out right now. The first drone to go to the natural. Because if you don't do that, a Reaper spawns right now. A Reaper will finish right about now within like 1 or 2 seconds from now. And every second that goes by, it's going to cross the map. And as soon as it gets there, you're not going there anymore until you have speedlings if the Terran's good. Which sucks. $21 seems to beat it. I'm not going to argue with that. That's fine. It's just one of those things where it's just you want to that one drone difference that you just had right there is the difference of like 5 minerals total, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And this drone getting to the third and not getting denied is so fucking important. Also, something to throw out there too. You will, let me give you a counterpoint to that, which is actually really real, okay? Sometimes you will play against Terran players who will leave an SCV at the third to buy the Reaper time to come down across the map to deny the drone. And you can actually kill the SCV barely before the Reaper gets there with the drone. You can't just auto-attack it though. You have to auto-attack it, and once you've both taken damage and your regeneration starts happening, you have to give yourself about like 2 seconds of regeneration or 3 seconds of regeneration and then re-engage the SCV, because the SCV will barely kill you before you generate enough health to survive one more auto-attack. If you don't run away for a couple seconds. That is something that you will run into eventually. You leave Overlord 2 to see if the SCV blocks your third. Okay, let me actually look and see. I want to see. Let me watch your Overlord then. I want to see if you even watch your natural. Okay, I don't like this. I actually don't like this. Because if this Terran player proxied you right here with 2 racks, you would have no idea. And you might think to yourself, but Vive, I scouted this. But you didn't though, because this Reaper proxy would be here. Or the barracks proxy would be here after the first Overlord would already have left this area. So I personally am a huge fan of leaving your second Overlord in front of the natural, because there's so many fucking areas you could get proxied from, and proxy 2 racks is actually a common build. I would say genuinely on ladder, I get proxied about 40% of the time. Like, it's a lot. It happens a lot. Or like 30% of the time. It's definitely common. And you'll have no idea if he were to build, like I say the SCVs ran like this. Or like he ran like left and down and came around this way. The Overlord would be like right there by the time he starts building barracks. Not always if the SCV gets the first shot. I killed the drone up to now. No, the thing is, a drone absolutely beats an SCV if you micro it to the point to where you buy it extra regeneration for like 3 seconds. Because here's the thing. An SCV has 45 health, no regeneration. A drone has 40 hit points, but it has regeneration. A drone will absolutely regenerate enough health to take up to give it like 45 health throughout the fight with an SCV. But what you want is you want to generate enough health to have 50 health throughout the fight with an SCV. So you need to like run it away for another 2 ticks of regeneration and then re-engage the SCV. And you can do that before the Reaper gets there. Barely. If you do it with your 20th drone. Like the Reaper will get there probably like 3 seconds or 2 seconds after the SCV is dead. If it's like a constant battle. Where the SCV is not being microed either. Because the Terran player, if he's really good, can also run away when you're trying to chase him, to hit him. And instead of trying to kill the drone, he tries to run in a circle and not let you build a hatchery and buy time for the Reaper. That can also happen. It's like a minigame that high-level players play sometimes. And anyone who's wondering, Vibe, are you talking to someone right now? No, I'm reading chat from Twitch right now. Some people are asking questions. Okay, so anyways, your build's fine. Overall, your build's fine. Well, the way you're doing it, the Overlord thing, I'm not a huge fan of, but other than that, your build's fine. I feel like you're probably going to change your mind if you get killed by proxy Raxes. And go, well, you know what? I hate proxies. Let's not die to that anymore. Because it is pretty lame. Okay, I'm going to pause really fast. And, you made an Overlord, which is good. That's very good. You have Zergling speed started, which is great. You take 2 drones off gas, which is fine. The only problem with this, though, there's a problem with this, okay? Oh, that's delicious. Your second Overlord is really late. This Overlord is getting to the guy's, is gonna get to the guy's base. We'll see. We'll see when it gets there, but I feel like it's gonna be late. You want it to be going into his base at 4 minutes. Like right at 4. You don't want it to be going to his base at like 4:40 or 4:30. Because the thing is the Terran player, the Terrans have a lot of options. They do have a lot of options, and you don't want to leave it open to chance for longer than it has to be. Like for instance, Terran doesn't even need to go beyond barracks. Just throwing it out there. Terran could literally stay on barracks and make like 5 fucking racks and just do an SCV pull all in. That is something Terran can do. So the later you scout, the later you're going to react to whatever it is. Usually it's not going to be that. Let's be real. But it can happen. It doesn't mean it can't happen. I've dealt with it before. It has happened multiple times. Definitely low percentage. But if you're over here just blindly making drones because your Overlord hasn't spotted anything yet, you could die to a lot of shit, for sure. Or it could be like double factory fucking Hellion production. And if you scout late, you might be reacting to a double Hellion attack when it has like already 8 Hellions out, which would be fucking scary. Or like 10 Hellions or some shit. Like some Terrans will like stock up Hellions and do blue flame timings. That does happen as well. But yeah, anyways, your build looks fine. The only thing I don't like about your build... Okay, well, 2 things I don't like about your build, but one of the things I don't like about your build is this Overlord. The way you use it, I think you could do it a little differently. I I just, my preference. You don't have to take it or leave it. I'll drop it now though. But it's not the hugest deal. I just feel like it's a little risky. Like, I feel like this is gonna cost you games sometimes, the way it's been used throughout this game so far. And I feel like it's avoidable. But if it doesn't cost you the game, then it's fucking a moot point. Like, this game particularly, so far, it hasn't mattered. And if he's not owning you with some weird shit, then it doesn't matter. Secondly, the other thing is the queen. I don't know why there's a queen missing in the main base right now. I don't like it, though. I feel like you need to have a perma inject. You should only miss one inject ever on your 3 hatcheries. And then every single creep tumor you make after that should be extra queen. Like extra queens. You only need 1 tumor until you have extra queens, which will spread between natural and third. But the fact that you're already having more tumors being spread and sacking your injects, and you're also prioritizing your natural, and you don't even have a queen lined up at your third yet, you're missing 2 out of your 3 bases of inject right now. As soon as this finishes. Like, a queen should be here as it finishes, ready to inject it right away. So the way I would say you should do it is like this. Queen in the main, spawns in the main, injects the main, it stays in the main. Queen in the natural, makes a creep tumor, and then goes to the third. Second queen built in the natural, stays at the natural, and injects the natural. And then you have 3 queens injecting 3 hatches constantly. To be fair, the queen of the natural should actually go tumor first, and then inject hatchery, and then go to third base. Because you don't make your third queen right when your second queen finishes. You make your third queen probably like 20 seconds after your second queen finishes, because you have to make your larva, and you can't afford it. I've been pulling the queen and the main down to defend tumor against good reapers. Yeah, but if you think about it like that too, you don't have an overlord here. And what if the reaper runs into your main base and starts killing drones while you have 2 at the natural as well? That's a problem. That's a fucking problem. And also, if you're worried about creep tumors getting killed by reapers, stop spreading your tumor to the edge of creep. You can spread a tumor inside your creep a little bit and put your queen further forward to push to get more damage on the reaper faster, and put your lings forward as well, so the reaper dies for trying to kill the creep tumor, and it's more protected because you don't put it on the edge of creep. And here's the thing: if you put a creep tumor a little bit closer into your creep, it will still spread at its full capacity before it's like, the creep tumor won't be done spreading by the time it's off cooldown. If you spread a creep tumor to the edge of creep, it does not fully spread the radius of the creep tumor when the cooldown's ready. It still has to do like 40% of its spread still. It's not even close to being done. So if you put your tumors tucked back a bit, it's way easier to protect them with Queen Ling, and you still get full spread capability of creep. And you don't need to have 2 queens here to do that. You could have 4 lings and 1 queen easily zone out 1 reaper. Yeah, the fact that you're missing injection now is rough. That's brutal. And now you're going to miss an inject as well here. You're missing injects on every single base. Every base is missing inject now. Because your queen isn't going to be done here for 20 seconds. Which is almost an inject. That's 2/3 of an inject right there. That's fucking brutal. This overlord? Yeah. That's how it should go, by the way.
Hey Vibe,
yo, Brig.
Hope you're doing well.
Hi.
Nice weather this week. Hope you get to enjoy it some.
Yeah, I actually took my dog on 2 walks yesterday and today. Yesterday was for 2 hours, and today was for about an hour and a half. Definitely been enjoying it. The weather. It's really hot, but it's also a cold breeze. It's pretty nice. Thank you very much for the sub. Thank you for the 8 months. Much love. This overlord, I take back what I said about the scout timing of the main. It's perfect. But I don't like the natural thing you did. I still don't like that. But the way you're scouting into his base at 4 minutes is like the way, like, if your overlord is going into the main right at 4 minutes, that's fucking perfect. The only thing you could do differently, like, this is still, I'm not gonna lie, this is I'm not gonna say anything negative about it. This is perfect. You could go from here. You could go from here. You could go from here. This is probably as far left as you'd want to go. I would not say you should go from here because you'll just die. Like a higher, higher chance you're going to get spotted by a depot or some shit. But you have a higher chance of not being spotted right as you enter the base if you go from any one of these sides. And the fact that the Marine's already here kind of sucks because it's just going to kill the Overlord super fast now. But either way, the fact that you're going into the base at 4 minutes is perfect. So that was perfect Overlord for scouting his base. No injects though is really bad. Not good. You're already behind by a lot of larvae. This is painful. There's like pros and cons of creep spread. The only pro of having good creep spread really early is if you're gonna get all in, and the creep is gonna make the difference of like having more terrain to work with to defend the all in. But if your opponent is not gonna all in you and is not looking like he's setting up, like gearing up to be aggressive, like for instance, here's an example of what I mean. If this guy, if Shengi, was on one command center still, the way you've spread your creep would be great. Because it would be able to make your queens more agile, more mobile around your base, and dealing with all kinds of bullshit one base all-ins. It would be great. And you wouldn't really have the means and the money to make queens and larvae anyways, if you're going to be making a lot of lings to defend yourself, right? Which, because you're getting all in. So you can't like slam drones out like crazy, which can afford it better. But that's not what's happening. He's expanded and he's playing standard. So this creep right here is not suited for the game you're in. It's a little bit faster than normal creep spread if you just prioritize injects, but now your economy is behind where it should be by a lot. And you're versing a Terran player who's opening up triple command center by 4 minutes. Which is, that doesn't feel good. That feels like this is, it's like reversed. It should be heavy inject versus heavy economy from Terran, as opposed to heavy creep versus heavy economy from Terran. Your creep can still be very good without having to do it this priority this fast. That's why I said you want to have only one inject gets missed on the natural, and then every hatchery at all times is being injected forever, which would increase your drone count dramatically. Because I would say you've already missed probably like 9 larvae this game. Or maybe even like almost 12 larvae from injecting. Because you missed one inject at least on all 3 bases. And there were moments where like maybe you missed a little bit of an inject on like the natural with like the inject that was on it, and then it comes off, and then the queen's not there still. And the main missed a while too. It definitely missed more than 1 inject. Like maybe not quite 2, but way more than 1. So you've spotted this Overlord sees some Hellions. That's nice. Nice little catch there. Definitely spread your Overlords out more. Like these Overlords here should definitely be like, one should be there. Or this Overlord right here could also be there. Like this Overlord here is fine because it spots for the air. But like one of these guys should be in front of your creep and this entrance to your base. One should be, or like maybe like right there would be okay. But as soon as the creep trooper spreads one more time, you'd want to have like one there and one there. And then, so like, you want to have entrances, you want to have Overlords in front of creep so you know when you spread it, it doesn't just die. You want to know where his units are at all times. You want to protect your tumors at this point in the game with queens. So your creep starting queen should literally be here right now, so you can spread here without it dying in case he moves forward. And then you should have another Overlord here, like you do. I would say this Overlord should be a little bit more to the right, though, because this is really fogged out. If the Terran player were to come down here and then were to go this way, you wouldn't know until the last second, which is not great. So if your Overlord was like Overlord to the right a little bit more, you would have more vision of the general area. And then a queen or an Overlord should be like right here. And an Overlord should be like right here. Or you could literally put one Overlord like right there, and that would be okay because it would cover the edge of that ramp and it would cover the edge of this ramp because your creep is kind of far away enough still for that to be okay. But as soon as you have a creep tumor like right there, you definitely want an Overlord like right there. You want to have basically every entrance. Like this map is a spider web of entrances. It has a lot of entrances. But until you have army phase of the game going, until you're done droning, you want to have Overlords in front of your creep. So that way, whenever his Hellions decide to rotate, they can't just kill creep forever. You want your creep to be protected. You don't want it to be exposed. There you go. The creep tumor just died, right? You don't want that shit happening. That's a waste of time. Yeah, you shouldn't have all your queens just powwowing around the hatchery. And you stop making queens now at 6. You're just like leaving 3 queens in the net in the third and 2 queens in the main. And there's no reason for that at all. Because your overlord spotted that this Terran player is going for what looks like it could be bio with Hellion, with maybe Viking, maybe Medevac, maybe Liberator. The scariest thing out of this would be a Liberator. But if it's a Liberator, all you need to do is have 1 queen per base and put 1 spore, just like you did, on the outside bases. Like 1 spore at the third, 1 spore at the main. And you're done. That's it. And then all your queens are just spreading creep and guarding creep that are not creeps, that are not injectors. And if the Liberator actually decides to be so bold as to hit the third, and then you're like, he sees the spore and he goes, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go to the natural. Take a couple creep spread queens and bring them back. Because you'll have plenty of time to react to that. You should have overlords on the outsides of your base that aren't where the creep paths are as well, like on the outside. Would you recommend 2 queen hotkeys? I use 1 queen. This is okay. So yes, but this is what I do. I use camera hotkeys for bases, and I don't hotkey the queens that are there. I use a queen hotkey for only creep spread queens. I don't even hotkey the inject queens. So what I would do if that were me is every time I want to use a queen at a hatchery, I green box micro it. And if I want to use a queen at a creep spreader, I would actually use like group 2. You do that. I would never put all my queens, including injectors, in 1 control group. I would never do that. I would leave these uncontrol grouped. And I would make more of them, by the way. I would make about like 9 queens versus Terran, or at least like 7 or 8. 7 like minimum. I would say 7 is the bare minimum you should be making against Terran. Like 4 creep spreaders and 3 injectors. Because what you can do, here's the beautiful thing about it. What you can do is you can rotate creep spreaders into injectors as you take a 4th base and a 5th base and a macro hatch. And suddenly you have like 6 queens injecting and like 1 queen maintaining good creep already. But you should definitely not be leaving queens all on hatcheries like this and then deciding, okay, I'm going to send all queens off and then make 3 new queens. That's definitely not the way to do it, because you're missing inject time when you do that. Because inject is faster than making a queen, by the way. Queen is 36 seconds, inject is 29 seconds. So it's not the same. And then on top of that, if you're not actually in front of your creep, like that's asking to die again. If the Terran player kills this tumor, I'm not going to be surprised, right? I mean, I just remember now. I just saw that earlier. But yeah, it's the same shit. Like, you don't ever want to do that. That's a perfect example of why you don't want to ever do that. That's literally asking for it. And your Zergling should never be this far forward, ever. Never, ever, ever be on the edge or off creep with your Zerglings. If you play against a Terran who is very active with Hellions, he will punish this all day. Your Zergling should be, like, that's a good spot. That's perfect. Your Zergling should be in the back, deep on creep, to where if the Hellions decide to drive past your queens, the Zerglings will stuff them up and hold them in place a little bit longer for the queens to kill them, and then also do a bunch of damage. And the Hellions have a lot more pressure then to shoot the right target and like do damage properly while they're getting beat on by lings and queens at the same time. It creates a hard position for Hellions to deal with. Yeah, your drone count is under par. You could be on 60, like a decent drone count, like a decent quota is 66 drones by 6 minutes. And I'm gonna tell you something. With this amount of Zerglings you have made a total of 18 Zerglings, because 1 died. With 18 Zerglings and nothing dying, no drones have died, you could honestly right now at 620 be at like 78 drones right now, or like 75 drones right now. You could have been at 60 drones at like 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So you're definitely behind, or like 530 even. There's no reason to not have that because you haven't done anything that justifies otherwise. It's because you didn't inject your hatcheries properly, and you're not doing it again. Your hatcheries are once again exposed. Like there's nothing there. You can't do this. Oversupply of Overlord. What do you mean? Like, obviously, you'd be making Overlords with it, too. But I'm going off of I'm just going to throw out a number, okay? There's been games where I've played where I have, like, 10 Zerglings, and I have 75 drones by 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, that is a very realistic quota. Obviously, I'm not saying it's easy, but it means that you're not missing injects. Like, you're not letting the third base finish and have nothing going on at it for 40 seconds. You're not ripping queens off the main and natural and having nothing going on at it for a cumulative time up to 7 minutes and 19 seconds of, like, 2 minutes of no inject. This not being injected is unacceptable. It's so bad. Like, this is gonna make you lose. You're falling so far behind. This is not something that it's like, oh, kind of sucks. It's like, I'm watching you lose the game right now. You're going to have no control going forward in this game if you play like this. You spammed out a bunch of injects. With this many queens now, like, let me say this. For how much you prioritized creep spread early on, your creep spread is not that great for what it is right now. You have 2 tumors actively going on the right. You have 2 tumors actively going in the middle, and you had 2 tumors actively going on the left. You have 6 tumors actively pushing at 8 minutes. With the amount of creep you invested into, and here's the crazy thing. When your third finished at like 3 minutes, you already had 4 tumors active. Instead of 6. Your creep is not enough. And the reason why that's happening is because at the start of the game, you ripped your queens off and sat all your queens at the third base eventually, and you did a couple creep tumors. And then you've actually been having your queens kind of chill all over the place that are not in your hatcheries most of the time. And then now not injecting later on. And now you're not creeping either. Or, sorry, there was a point in the game where you were overstacking, like this. You were actually overstacking hatcheries when you were starting to inject again. And then you take them all off. Like, you're either too heavy on injects or you're too heavy on creep. You're not balancing it, is what I'm witnessing right now. At the start, you were too heavy on creep. And then you were too heavy on inject and you weren't creeping at all. And then you went back to being too heavy on creep again. And then now, once again, you've gone back to being too heavy on injecting again. Because these queens are either all sitting in the middle of nowhere, or they're all stacked on hatcheries. When it should be 1 queen per hatchery always, and the rest of the queens guarding edges of creep. And you're not ever guarding the edges of creep with your queens. Ever. And by the way, as well, at this point in the game, as soon as you have like 60 plus drones, or like anywhere between 60 and 70 drones, you take every single overlord that's not on the side, like the overlord that would be here, overlord that would be here, overlord that would be here, whatever. All the middle map overlords, you pull them all back. Because around 6 minutes is when Terran's going to start pushing you, for real, like soon. And you don't want them all to just die. And at that point, you're also starting to make military units. So it's not as impactful to, you know, you're not playing the Hellion defense game anymore at that point in the game. It's kind of over. The game has evolved into something else. So you don't want to just let your overlords die. But your creep is going to be better if your creep is being pushed properly. It'll make pushes like this more difficult for Terran. If you do it properly. Okay, so you're counterattacking him right now. And I think that's actually fine. This is actually a smart thing to do right now. I would say do not waste your time on fighting these depots. This is like, you're trying to maximize your time right now, not waste your time. So go somewhere else, like immediately go down and around or go up and around. It's unfortunate that he had a depot wall here right as you got here. Don't just attack the depot wall. Try to get damage done in a mineral line, like a third base, or like maybe jump on some rallies that are undefended because there's not enough of them. And I approve of it because you just killed a lot of his Marines over here, and you've kind of thinned it out, and you're still making more units to still defend yourself, and you still left some to defend. That was a good move. I would just say you need to utilize these lings well, because if they hit depots, it's a waste. Meanwhile, your upgrades should definitely be started. That's huge. You should definitely not be making lurkers this fast. You're attacking the lurkers way too fast. That's way too fast for lurkers. Ugh. It's also way too fast for a hive. Yeah, I think, honestly, you should... This is really greedy. I just want you to know that. I will say this. Let me say it like this. This is actually okay versus a 3cc opening Terran. If the Terran but if you do this every single game, if you ever see a Terran player not take a 3rd CC, you should definitely delay your hive a little bit longer. And you should also delay your fucking lurker den a lot longer. You should be making your lurker den as you make your hive, and you should not be making your hive until you have already started 2-2. And then when you start 2-2, that's when you start Infestation Pit. And then once Infestation Pit is done, that's when you start a hive. But you already have a hive done and you haven't even started 2-2 yet. This is a fucking ridiculously greedy hive with how fast it is, and also compared with lurker. And if this turn was more aggressive, if this turn was doing like a 2-base all in, you would die for that. You would not have enough shit. You would have way too much gas like tied into tech, and it wouldn't really pay off for itself, and you would die before it was able to activate. You would just be dead. So pay attention to like what you're fighting against. And this game particularly, it's fine. Really, really, really super speedy lurkers is okay because he took a 3rd base super early. What'd you do with the lings? I want to see this. Okay. So those lings definitely just got kind of fucked by wasting time right there. And realistically, I would say when you run the lings at the base, just take one quick glance at them if you can. Just one glance. And see if the Terran is defended or not defended. And if he is defended, just run away. Like those lings dying right there was kind of shit for you. And I know you're being distracted because you're like, well, he's here too. But you actually just did that after you killed a lot of his Marines over here. Like this is not, 4 Marines is not scary. It's not scary at all. You actually, you witnessed killing most of his Marines before, which is why I agreed with your Zergling counterattack. So this didn't really need to be a big priority anymore. Just as long as you're leaving units in the area, that's fine. Because that way, if he attacks your drones, he won't be able to just attack your drones because your units are here. But the Ling should have actually had like a little bit of time invested into looking at them for just a second as you're going to take an engagement. And if you saw that, you should immediately have turned around. That was just kind of a throwaway, which sucks. But it's not the end of the world. But it definitely wasted your time because now you have to rebuild that. And at this point as well, another thing, you saw how big his army was as well. Even if you, like, ideally you don't want to lose the Lings. But even though the Lings saw how big his army was over there, the second you saw that, immediately attack this so you can fucking spread creep here. You're letting him control this area with no creep for so long when you could easily break it with what you have because you saw how much shit was there. You could easily have broken that. And again, you saw his army isn't there because it's here. That's why you knew that. And you just let it, like, again, it's not that like, oh, he killed a Zergling with a tank shot, or he killed your queen and you killed a medevac. Oh no. What like this shit doesn't really matter. It's that you're not spreading any creep the entire time. You're literally you're getting so distracted by this. You're spreading 0 creep and you're letting Terran have so much control of the game right now indirectly for no reason. Just get rid of this problem because you know it can't be reinforced right now. And that was a large blob of units. It was like 6 Hellions and like 30 Marines. That was a lot of fucking Marines over there. At this point, you're going to wait so long that you're going to let him genuinely reinforce it. Okay, he just flew away with a minivac, so now it's gone. Yeah, your creep spread is definitely not as strong. Doing well this game, butt touch. It definitely needs to be better. Your creep is definitely weak. It's super weak this game. You should definitely right now, what you should do is you should drop 2 changelings, and you should go check the map really fast on both sides just to make sure how many bases you're up against. And it should dictate whether you play defensive or aggressive, because you're going lurkers. So you don't have to play aggressive if the Terran's going to be like 3 base all in. But if the Terran is going to play like 4 base, 5 base, you should absolutely be aggressive then. But you should figure that out and not just guess. And you could easily do it with a couple of changelings, and they could also scout where his army is. And here's the thing. If he is taking like 4 base, 5 base, you know what you should do then? You should attack one side where he isn't really well defended. Or if he is really well defended on one side, how about you take lurkers and send lurkers to like the other side? And just like get his attention over there, and when he moves out of position to go defend that, you pounce all over the other base with Ling Hydrabane. And then you just upper and run away with the lurkers. Because lurkers are actually pretty fast if you have the speed upgrade, which you do, or you do not yet, but you almost do. What you want to be doing right now is you want to be killing command centers. That's what you... Ideally, Terran wants you not to kill command centers, but you want to kill command centers. Also, making banelings like that is fucking sketch. You made him, like, off of creep without knowing where he is. I'm glad you didn't take that fight. Now you know where he is. You know what you should do right now? 100%. You know what you should be doing right now? 100%? Going north. Run north right now. Literally run it right there and go into his base. Because here's the thing. If you run into his base right now when he's out of position, you can send your lurkers, wherever the fuck they are. I don't know where your lurkers are. I thought you made lurkers already. You made 1 lurker. Okay, I thought you made more. Either way, you could send your lurker defensive. You could make a couple more as well. Like you can make like 3 hydras and lurkers right now and just like have them reinforce that guy right there. And you can immediately take a drone right now and go, hey drone, I want you to build a hatchery right there. And hey, second drone, I want you to build a hatchery right there. Because here's the thing. If the Terran goes, oh, base trade? I don't mind if I do. You react to a base trade a lot faster than he does. You can actually replace this base before it's even dead. And as soon as he gets... Your creep shows you where he is as well. And if it was better, that would be even better. But, like, if it was more out on the map. But as soon as he gets to, like, close, like, within a screen length, evacuate the drones to the new base you just made. You're great. Meanwhile, you're going to be in his base before he's in your base, and you're wiping out all his fucking economy and his command centers. And if you kill all the command centers, how can he stop lurkers? He can't. He just dies. He just can't push anymore. And even if you don't kill all the command centers, all the units that you lose to his reinforcements, which if his whole army is over here right now, you're probably going to win the fight in his base, but you still might take some losses. All those losses, you can just rebuild them and make it to where they can reinforce your lurkers on defense before he really kills your base. You have all the advantages in the world right now because the Terran player is in the middle of the map right now, and he's in a spot right there that is, or he's right here, sorry. He's right here, and this is not defending anything north, and your army is faster than his army. You could literally run around him and get into his base. And here's the beautiful thing. If you lose all of your Zerglings, but you kill all of his SCVs, like a lot of his SCVs, you could just run the Hydras back. You don't have to lose the Hydras. You could just have the Hydras like be over here too, and you could just run this way and run away with them while he like chases your Lings in his base and tries to like clean up his base. And then by the time he's done cleaning up his base, you could remake all your Lings again. Lings are cheap and really replaceable. And then you could make, with some of that open supply and also time that goes by where you mine gas, you could turn more of your Hydras into lurkers while you remax Lings. Like, you should absolutely be counterattacking his base right now. Positioning-wise, there's no reason not to. He's not even close to your base right now, and this army is so fucking replaceable. But you're turning around and you're going home. So nothing happens. submitting to a base trade. You got to realize something though. If the Terran player is not even in your base and he sees you running into his base, there is a high chance he's going to turn around and go defend. But by the time he's defending his base, shit's dead already. And you replace what you lose when he finally gets there with a still active economy. And he doesn't replace economy very fast because you can't just replace economy. It takes a while. So then that puts him in a position where if he then attacks you again after he cleans up his base, he can't really replace that army now. He's broke. He's got a fucking rough situation now. Or if he just decides, you know what, I'm going to base trade you as well. You already are in his base while he's still walking to yours because your army is faster and you guys saw each other mid-map. Like you literally saw him right here when he was there. This is his side of the map more so. It is not closer to your bases, it's closer to his bases. This line is exactly halfway across the map. He's still on his side, you're in the direct center. So, and also your army is faster than his. So you could literally run from center to his base faster than he can run from his side to your side. It's like if a train going 70 miles an hour is going 1 mile versus a train that goes 60 miles an hour and it has to go 1.5 miles, who gets to the destination first? Obviously the train that goes faster with less travel distance is going to get there faster. That's exactly what it is. You're on half map, he's on his side. You're faster than him. So you absolutely get to his base faster than he gets to yours. And you can, like I said, if you know where he is and you can make that snap decision, you can set up for the base trade before it even happens. 100%. Like there's no reason why you couldn't do that. But the fact that you turn around, means that you just now prepare for a defensive fight. So what you're actually doing is you're giving Terran advantage right now. And the reason why you're giving Terran advantage, here's why. Can you guess? Your creep sucks. He's going to set up a push right next to your hatchery now. And creep is not going to be there. He had to scan one time and he's already within one screen length of creep into your hatchery. He can set up tanks all over this fucking like cliff area. And creep is going to be receded very fast into this area. It's going to be a very rough fight for you. It's not going to be great. You're also, there's a choke point here you'd be engaging into. And the rocks are still active, so you have no flank. Unless you go all the way around the top up here, which is a long flank. And he also might even siege on the high ground and shoot you as you're doing this. Like, this is not a good engagement for you. This is not this is not playing to the terrain to your advantage. And again, your creep spread is a big reason why this is happening, why it's not advantageous for you. Because you just don't have much of it. So you're setting up a long flank. It's not the worst idea. He's playing it very slow. He's not, you know, he's clearing creep out. It's fine. Well, you're taking a fight completely off creep on one side and partially off creep on another side. Like your banelings are rolling off creep to engage that. That's not fucking good. You're going to get way less efficiency here with this. Now, what's happening here? A counterattack of some banelings and some hydras. Let's see what he has on defense. He's got 9 marines, 1 medevac, 1 tank, and that is all. Imagine if you just counterattacked his base. This army, you didn't kill a whole lot of that army, but you would have killed everything in his base. Because SCVs die really fast. Like, you wouldn't have killed all his buildings, but you definitely would have killed, like, pretty much all his SCVs with Lingbane. There was no his whole army was pushing. So that was, and I'm not saying the Terrans shouldn't push with their whole army. I'm just saying the way you guys set that up, like, I don't have to repeat it again. Massive advantage for you, positioning-wise, to just go to his base. And again, that's partially because of positioning where he and you were, and it's also because the alternative was taking a fight off creep because your creep spread sucked. You don't want to take a fight off creep ever, especially if it's the first major fight. You're just almost giving the Terran the game at that point if you do that. Creep is very important to fight on against Terran. Okay, so your Hydras are getting thinned out. He defends. He doesn't lose too much economy. He loses a little bit. But he definitely has killed a lot of your creep on the right side for sure. I would say at this point, you should be taking another base up there, like I said before. And you should be, like, the reason why is because you already need another base anyways, right? Because you're oversaturating your bases now at this point, and like shit's mining out. You're starting to look kind of shitty here. But there's a good chance, with how this game is going, that you might lose this base right now. If the Terran player reinforces this push, you might lose this base. And the worst thing in the world you can do when you lose this base is have to go, okay, well, my remaining bases have a bunch of oversaturation on them. So now I'm mining like crap. Right? You want to definitely prepare for worst case scenario a little faster. And it's not looking great because of the fact that, you know, you just took a really rough fight. So now it is worst case scenario. Like, that's a more realistic thing that's going to happen now. And what you just did there, that's good versus versus Widow Mines, not so good versus everything else. So, yeah, I think that was maybe you trying to set off Widow Mines, but he doesn't have any. Which I feel like if I had to guess, I would say I don't feel like you would do that in most games, but I feel like you guys probably play against each other a lot, and you know he likes to make Widow Mines, and you just assumed he was going to do that. But in the future, definitely don't do that. Don't just randomly assume there's Widow Mines and throw more units away when you're already behind, because you're just going to probably die then. Like, you're going to reinforce that. Like, it was like this. Your chance of dying was like 60%. Now it's 64. Like, it's going up. Because you keep throwing shit away. Yo, thank you for the fucking resub. Belly rub. I appreciate the 17 months, man. Thank you. And this is rough. These flanks, I hope you're going for economy. You are. Okay, good. I was about to say, if you're flanking his army, it's going to be rough because you're once again engaging off creep. You got to sometimes be willing to sack a base. And this is one of those times. You should definitely not try to muscle this out. If you do, you're going to throw the game in the trash. Like, I don't know what you're doing there. You're doing it again. Remember I said 64%? 71% now. Chance for you to get fucked in this fight now. To be fair, Shangy should have had some bio there. He exposed 3 tanks. That actually was bad by both of you, and it paid off for you. But if Shangy had Marines there to cover uncovered tanks, you would have killed no tanks, and that would have just been another throwaway of units. But the fact that you just killed 3 tanks there, that's so fucking lucky. That's super lucky. What's up, Maurice? Make sure, too, in the future, don't ever rally Lings and Banes like from all the way across the map and go into someone's base like that. Because Zerglings are way faster than Banelings. Make sure you maybe go there first, have them all get there, and then go in. Your Banelings are way too fucking far behind. Like, your Zerglings are engaging for like 8 seconds before your Banelings get there. That's not ideal. Don't ever do it like that. That's never going to really work very well for you. Yeah, so you're realizing this base needs to be sacked. You're going to have to evacuate it. Imagine if you made that choice before losing 2 fights and like 2 also skirmishes where it's like shit just died. The 1 skirmish there you got lucky on, but this one was awful on the bottom. So the base dies anyways, but you've lost so much shit in the process. I would say Zerg is the race that can do this the most. Be very willing to just make more expansions and sack bases and rotate around. Zerg is by far the best at doing that than everybody. Literally, it's better than any other race. Protoss can't do it as well, and Terran can't do it as well as Zerg can. And the reason why Zerg can do it so well is because a hatchery at another base is literally a macro hatch until it's used anyways. It's like more production. It's fucking just useful. But if you put nexuses down all over the place or command centers down all over the place, it doesn't actually do anything. Besides like maybe planetary it up and like control like that area. But it doesn't actually give benefit other than that. And it's also more expensive to do that as well for Protoss and Terran by a little bit. It's just harder to replace. Zerg, it's very easy to replace, especially if your opponent gets out of position and you just stab them in their economy as well, like in the back. Would you say it's too late to get in this game as a noob or no? It's pretty hard, yeah. This game, I would say, Maurice, there's bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond, master, grandmaster. You can literally get up to diamond in this game, which is like the 5th league. No problem within like a couple months if you have like a guide that you're following. It's very realistic, especially if you already have like somewhat of a knack for gaming, or like if you're already a little bit talented at gaming. You definitely could get diamond in a few months if you just have the right idea about how you approach the game with like a guide. But getting masters and getting GM in this game, that's a different story. It's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot harder. You definitely have to overcome a lot of hurdles, especially in today's world, to get that. All right. So now you're in a position now, free butt touch, where you're behind. Your creep sucks, and your army is still not great. The best thing you can do is try to do something cost efficient defensively while also doing something cost efficient aggressively. So an example of this would be get like a fucking overlord, get a drop lord, and put like 4 banelings in it or 2 lurkers and go drop a Minnerline. Go drop a Minnerline. Do something where you don't send like a blob of units to his base, but like a little tiny poke that can theoretically kill a lot of economy. You are like desperate to be cost efficient right now. And then leave the rest of your army at home defensive, but don't just run into his army. What you should do instead is maybe leave like your hydras and lurkers defensive on creep, like here for now or something. Just not to where he can't just run into your base right away. And send your zerglings and your banelings, the major blob of them, to like the middle of the map and cut off rallies. You need to be cost efficient. If you can't do that right now, you're going to die. The way to not be cost efficient is to never attack his economy now and to only sit defensively and let him keep tank pushing you. That's not cost efficient. You're going to keep taking fights like you have been and you're going to die. Like you're going to just probably keep losing bases and die unless the Terran makes a mistake. But like you could, this is also why creep spread's really good. Just imagine if it was again further out on the map than it is right now. If you ran Zerglings at this and you just swiped off 2 tanks, that's so fucking good. That's the guy has 6 tanks right now. That's a third of his tanks. Shaggy, you would be fucked. This would be rough to come back. Like this is the kind of shit that would like ruin you if it was sniped off. And more creep spread would only re-incentivize this even more. So from the Zerg's perspective, definitely want to get on top of this kind of stuff. There's no reason not to, because you're just watching him reinforce his army. If you fight this right now, this is a mistake. Again, This is a mistake to push this right now. The only way this works positively for you is if Terran makes a mistake. And it looks like Terran is making a mistake because he's completely unsieged. Terran should never be completely unsieged. Ever. Like, if Terran is pushing creep like this, Terran should always leapfrog the creep. If the Terran ever unsieges everything, they get impatient. It's just an example of Terran being impatient and just wanting to go faster. But it opens them up to a potential kill to like lose all their shit. So if the Terran player, if I was the Terran player here and I got caught with my pants down like this, I would immediately load up all my medevacs and boost the fuck out of there. I'd be like, nope, I am not taking this fight because I'm fucked. I'm not sieged before I get engaged on while I'm walking on creep. This is now a good fight for you, but here's the thing. Butt touch, this is a randomly good fight for you. You didn't scout this. You just randomly ran into it, and it happened to be good. You're playing off of like a fucking coin flip. So you gotta definitely be a little more assertive and like maybe scout more, use overlords more, use changelings more, kill reinforcements so that this isn't actually a scary situation. It's a guaranteed good situation because you thin out reinforcements. The creep didn't see unsieged tanks. No, you just went into this blind. You literally went into this blind. Look. You were already engaging right here. Don't give me that shit. Don't give me that crap. What touch? You were already engaging right now. You're initiating an engage right now. You're starting to move into his area. And you have no idea what could be sieged there. There. He's been pushing you for a while. He could have plenty of shit sieged in the back right here. Like in the fog. Like on the edge of creep. Again, the whole point is he wants you to run off. The proper way to do it with Terran is if you make Zerg run off creep, all their Lings and Banes go really fast until like suddenly a lot slower. And then they just get picked apart by range. But you're definitely just pulling the trigger right now because you're just like paranoid. And that was like, it was going to work out. But he could absolutely have had a setup here. And the biggest mistake Shengi made here was sieging up and trying to take this fight with Stimpak. Immediately, he should have just loaded up medevacs and gotten the fuck out of there. Because being unsieged with the majority of his tanks as you're engaging, that's just a losing fight. Like, he could have even loaded up, boosted back this way, and then carpet dropped it. Like, this is hard to micro, I'm not going to lie. But if you, like, loaded up all of it, boosted out, lost nothing, and as you start boosting back to the existing siege tanks, you drop. Like, you're dropping as you're line dropping all your units towards these tanks again, and then you siege up the new tanks that are dropped as, like, these tanks are firing, and all the bio is engaging. And it's also off creep. That would be totally fine. Like, that would be a hard thing to do. But the better thing to do would be just fucking leapfrog tanks forward. Instead of having tanks so far forward that are unsieged and then sieging them and letting them die as the fight starts. I know it's hard to micro. It's not easy, but that is what Terran should have done. And you taking that fight was random. That was randomly good for you. It wasn't actually strategically good for you. It was random. You're taking risks like crazy. Because you don't scout enough. Like, right now, here's the difference, okay? Belly rub. You know what Zerg is? This is a good analogy. You want to know what Zerg is? Zerg is a fucking spider. And Terran is a fly. And one thing a spider is supposed to be able to do when a fly is in the web of a spider is it's supposed to know where it is at all times. And you have no fucking idea where Terran is at all times unless he's attacking you. That it's a problem. You definitely need to scout more, and you need to control the game a little bit more as Zerg. like with positioning. Because here's the difference. There's two kinds of armies in StarCraft. There's power and there's mobility. Your army is not power. Your army is mobility. Mobility, the advantage of that army is being able to pick and choose where the fight happens, and you always want to pick an advantageous fight for yourself positionally. And you haven't done that once yet this entire game. Power is an army that basically just wants to fucking, it's like, it's usually slower. It's usually like not only movement speed slower, but also usually attack speed slower type shit. It's also shit that like hits really hard. It does a lot of DPS, but it has shit mobility. Power, what power wants to do is power wants to make sure that when they move out, they're not going to get backstabbed. So again, power also wants scouting to make sure that they're going to take a fight. Like power wants the fight to happen. Mobility doesn't want the fight to happen. That's the difference. So both sides should be scouting as to where the opponent is, but power, the last thing in the world power wants is to go, ah, fuck, my base is dying and I'm in the middle of the map. Dang it. Well, let's walk back to base. Okay, we're going back home. And then mobility, what mobility does not want to happen is, oh shit, he's pushing me and he's attacking my army. He's attacking me. I have to fight this right now. Because power versus mobility, power usually will win the fight. Now, I'm not saying Shengi's army is full power. Bio is definitely not power. Bio is definitely mobility. But siege tanks are fucking power. That is a slow, hard-hitting unit. That is power. And you've been getting farmed by tanks this game quite heavily so far. So, and it also, Shengi's playing the game of protect the tanks. So his bio turns kind of into like pseudo power. Because they're not just ditching the tanks all the time. And just leaving them in the back. And being like, fuck you, bye. Ideally, right? Like he's protecting tanks. So his army is kind of like a power army. So you should definitely be scouting where the hell he is. And trying to stab around it. And then that way, once you've successfully done that, you can then fight the power army when power can't be replaced. So it takes like 2 mobility armies to whittle down power, but then power is dead. And it can't be rebuilt. It's the exact same way you beat like Skytoss and shit like that. That's another power army. You don't just fight the army repeatedly and let his economy be whatever it wants to be. And you also don't just randomly not know where it is and then get blindsided by it when it attacks your base and feel like you're forced to defend it. You definitely need to scout more. I love that you scouted expansions just now. But you can clearly see like the Terran's starting to, you know, assert dominance in this game. He's getting a lead here. So it's only reinforcing that you're behind, and it reinforces that you really need, like, everything you should be doing that I've been saying this entire game, it hasn't changed once this entire time. You need to kill his economy, avoid his army, and then work his army down after his economy is kind of broken. And it only gets more reinforced that that is what you need to do the further behind you keep getting. Like, it's not like it goes away. Ugh. And there you go. He's pushing you again. You're like, oh shit, here he is. Randomly at my base again. And now you're going to defend it. You're prioritizing everything on defense. This is not what you want to do. Power. So Shengi fucked up again. And he's unsieging everything and running at you and then sieging as the fight starts. Shengi, stop doing this. Sleep. Like, when you get into Zerg's territory, and I think you even scanned it, didn't you? You didn't even scan. Okay, scan in the future when you like start getting into Zerg territory, because you getting caught while sieging is not good. You gotta stop doing that. Like this is bad. You're gonna let lurkers now have the advantage over tanks here. And then this kind of shit right here, you guys both need to be doing this. You guys, see how much damage this is doing? Like, you want to fight. That's great. Terran made a mistake. You took advantage of that. You won the fight. But I'm not even kidding. This is more value than that fight. And you want to know why?
Oh,
Because Terran bank account is amazing right now, and Zerg bank account is not.
Heart.
Ooh, Dave, what up, man? I fucking love you, dude. I haven't seen you for a little bit. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for the 35. Dave, guys, Dave's a legend. Okay, you know who Dave 2 is? He's a fucking legend. He's a YouTube legend. Dave, I appreciate you, man. Much love. So this fight obviously it seems good, right? You're like, oh wow, like that was a lot of that was more resources lost than this, but this means there's no more resources generated in this area, and Zerg's already having a problem with that at this point. Like Zerg, not necessarily so much for drones, but for bases, active bases. Zerg is getting pretty sad right now. Terran not so much. So Terran can replace that army that just died pretty quickly. And Zerg, if this kind of shit keeps happening, Zerg is going to start having a serious problem with economy. Like this is more value at this point in the game than that attack, because another reason why is because this attack happened defensively on your side of the map, so there's a lot of time Terran has to replace before you get to his side of the map. If that fight happened right there, and now as a result of that you're killing this base and you're killing this base and you're about to kill this base, then yes, this fight would be more value because you're also killing economy with it. But you're not. So it was still a nice fight the way it happened, but yeah, this is huge. What are your thoughts on lurker dives versus siege tanks and yoinks? Lurker dive is fine if you catch Terran unsieged. You should never catch Terran unsieged. That's a mistake by Terran. Lurker dive is also fine if Terran does not have ghost or something that can deal with Viper very well, and you blinding cloud them, and the tanks are also stacked up. That's also fine. But if that's not happening, if Terran's already sieged and he's not stacked and he has ghost, if you dive lurker, you're gonna lose the fight. Even with blinding cloud, like it will not go well for you. At that point, your best case scenario is ideally abducting tanks out and hoping that your Vipers don't get like sniped or some shit. So you notice how once again you're fixated on playing full defense right now? Butt touch? You can't do this. You have to do something that's going to be productive on his side of the map now, because playing like this is exactly the same way Shengi just lost the last game. If you get stuck in this mindset of only defense, only defense, only defense, you will break and die, because all Terran's doing right now is probably taking this base right now, maybe even taking that base right now, and just constantly remaking what dies. And right now you have no idea, once again, where his army is pushing. For all you know, his army could be right here, like right there, and it's about to push down into this base right here. And there's some of it. He's pushing the right side again. Or that's I think that's a rally point. I don't know. Oh no, it's right there. Sorry, it's a late rally, but there's his army, right at your fucking natural again. Shangy, in the future, don't siege your tanks so tight like that. Like green box some of them up, down, left, right, and siege them a little spread out, because this is not going to work well for you versus a Viper. And if you see this as Zerg, and you see a Terran player who stacks their tanks that heavily, Viper was a great way to engage. Yeah, you're stacking your tanks way too hard, Shengi. Way too hard. Try to spread them out a little bit more. Shengi, just keep in mind, if you even if you unsiege like one tank at a time and move it up a little bit, and then unsiege the far back tank and move it up a bit, you can hold shift and siege it. Like you can be like this. You can go like this. Tank, let's say this tank is sieged, okay? You could literally go unsiege, and then it unsieges, and then a new button appears on it, which is siege, which is this right here. And when it has the siege button, you could go like this. Right click, hold shift, siege. While holding shift, you hit siege. And the tank will drive to the location and siege. And then you can unsiege a second tank. And when it's unsieged, right click, hold shift, siege. Into a different spot. You could literally do one at a time. Like you could basically unsiege a tank, till it, and then right as you right click siege it, or like Like, you could literally go unsiege tank, and right as the tank is unsieged, okay, right as you're about to say right click, move up there, click a second tank and start unsieging a second tank, and then go right click, hold shift, siege. And then instead of clicking the second tank that's still unsieging, click a third tank and go unsiege, and now go back to the second tank, right click, hold shift, siege. And while the third tank is unsieging still, grab a fourth tank, unsiege it, and then go back to the third tank, right click a new spot, hold shift, siege. And then just vice versa, keep doing it like that. And then periodically, maybe move up portions of your bio with it. That's a great way to leapfrog push somebody. You're doing it in groups of like 4 or 5 tanks at a time, and they keep staying clumped up. You do not want to do that. It's okay to do it like that if it's like Roach Ravager or like Pure Lurker a little bit. But like if it's Roach, or sorry, if it's Viper as well, you're asking for it. You're like asking to die. And then butt touch, by the way, same thing with lurkers. If you ever want to siege push like Widowmine players or something like that, it's the same exact thing. But you obviously can't micro lurkers like that against siege tanks, because siege tanks are superior to lurker with siege mode. It has more range by a lot, by 3, which is substantial. You're going to just bleed lurkers out if you do it like that. So you actually have to kind of like bomb your lurkers on them when it's against siege tanks, the way you're kind of already doing it. Yep. And honestly, you guys are playing the game in a way again. Like that was a good drop by Shengi at one point in the game, but now you guys have both resorted to playing the game at one fight at a time, and all this comes down to is who takes a better fight. That's all it is. Who positionally is going to set up a better fight? Because neither one of you is harassing economy at this point. If either one of you harassed economy while taking fights like this, that person would very likely win the game. Because neither one of you is putting each other in a position where you can kill their economy so much to the point to where the next time you kill their army, they don't have another army coming after that because they're broke. You guys are both letting each other have like full power economies. And I would say Shengi keeps getting the advantage here though. And the reason why Shengi's getting the advantage is because Shengi keeps killing fucking economy in the indirect way of a push. Because by the time you realize where it is, butt touch, your base is fucking dead. And now you're going to defend a dead base. So obviously this is an advantage for Shengi. If your creep start is better, and if your changeling usage was better, if your scouting was better, you should be defending this before he even gets there. So this base does not die. So yeah, Shengi, right now, you have massive lead. If you just like slow push tanks right now, you're going to have a great fight. But if you walk up a lot of your shit at once, you're going to die. Like, that's so sketchy right there. Nice drop, though. I love it. Actually, you know what? It's funny, too. Some people might look at that and go, wow, lol, he just dropped his Marines into those banelings. It's not even that bad. I'd say dropping both of them at the same time wasn't ideal, but dropping a Marine into a baneling repeatedly is such a good fucking effective trade because you actually burn 2 banelings at a time when you do that. It's 2 banelings for 1 Marine is such a good trade for Terran. Yeah. And there you go. Shengi kills another base. So once again, this game is getting closer and closer to being closed out for Terran to be a victor here, because your economy is becoming in shambles for Zerg right now, and you're doing nothing to control Terran's economy. This is the first attempt at it, but keep in mind, if your opponent's using PFs and sensor towers and turrets and tanks and stuff, literally add in a Nidus Worm or add in a Drop Lord. Like, do something that gets you around just the front door. Stop going in the front door. Go in the back door. Like, go around it. Do something else. Like, do something that's more cost efficient than running units across the map and trying to brute force your way through the front door, because it's not gonna. That's not cost efficient. Okay, so now you're attacking his base right here, but if he has tanks right here, this is sketchy. You do have Vipers. You have a lot of Vipers, so you could definitely kill this base right now. This is very realistic. That's like a lot of Blinding Cloud energy that you have going on right there. Also, it would be very good value right now, I would say, to throw just one Blinding Cloud at the PF, because it works on a PF, and it would stop pummeling your fucking lurkers. This PF is actually pounding your lurkers. It hits lurkers very hard. Yeah, that PF killed 2 lurkers before it died, and all it would have taken is 1 Blinding Cloud, and you would have lost 0. Still good though. It's overall still good. Also, I think you guys actually, I feel like you could micro more than you do with your mouse. And let me give you an idea, okay? Here's a difference. This fight happens, right? And what is free butt touch do? Free butt touch says, army, go attack this. You have 2 control groups. You have 4 and 3. 3 Viper, 4 everything else. That's fine. But you attack towards it, and then you go, okay, these 3 lurkers, you guys burrow because you're in the front. I grab you specifically. That was nice. But then you just go, all lurkers, fucking burrow. We're in the fight now. It's happening. Not good. Here's a better way you could have microed this, okay? Watch. Imagine if you, right now, you went like this. Whole army, move right here. Green box, this chunk of your army, move right there. So your army fills in like a fucking snake, and you get lots of vertical surface area that will all cleave into the planetary at the same time. You ended up killing this planetary with like 5 lurkers out of like 16 of them. Or 14 of them. Because you had like a bunch of them sitting in the back out of range. So tell some of your army, tell all your army to go to one spot, green box a chunk of it, and tell it to go up or down, opposite of what you just told the first command to go to. So you get a filled in vertical line a lot faster, and you don't just siege a horizontal line on an attack that a vertical line would be more advantageous for. Like, you vertical lined this attack, or you horizontally lined this attack, which meant that 50% of your fucking lurkers don't even shoot the fucking building. Nice abducts. Really good abducts. Yeah, that's actually how you should be playing it, by the way. That's how you should be engaging a tank line that you can't engage. Because like I said before in Shengi's coaching lesson, Vipers give Zerg superior siege. And then Shengi, what he should have done as a response to this, against just Viper specifically, could be adding in like 3 Ghost, cloaking them as he sees Vipers are going to come in to abduct, walk to the front of the tanks, and snipe a fucking Viper as it engages, because one snipe one-shots a Viper. And then it's like a mini game between the 2 of you trying to be like, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going here, I'm going there. Like, it's not like one side always wins. It really depends on how you execute. By the way, thank you for the sub, Dr. G. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. So the fact that, like, right there, killing a base, amazing. Good job. You got to do more of that if you want to have a chance at winning this game. That was the first attack you actually had, that you not only killed a lot of his army, which was good, but you also killed a base. That base was more value than all those tanks you killed, honestly. Because it doesn't matter how many fucking units you kill. If your opponent has an endless economy at the moment in the game, he can always rebuild everything that dies. But if you kill his economy, he's fucked. He can't rebuild anything. He's like, oh, well, I can't afford anything, so it looks like I'm dead. So economy always is superior over unit if you can kill it. Which is exactly why I've been saying this whole game, you need to fucking scout where he is and use your mobility army to attack bases that he's not really defending very well. And go, oh, well, Terran's over here, I attack over here. Terran's over here, I attack over here. Terran's down here, I attack this base right there. Whatever, just knock out bases. Stop just sitting on your ass and waiting for him to appear and then like headbutting his army. You killed another base. Very good. You're running around the map fucking blind though. This is again sketchy as hell. You don't use you got to start using changelings. Seriously, start using changelings. They're so good. Because if the Terran was already here waiting for you and you're about to run into like 15 tanks again and Terran has a new base up here again right now, you'd be like better off going, you know what? Turn around, go up here. Instead of just headbutting the fucking tank line. You don't always want to take the fight against his army. If the Terran has a lot of bases, you want to prioritize killing the bases before you fight his army. And Terran actually, you killed this base, which again was good. You got the advantage there. And I'm glad you eventually left the area, but Terran definitely fucked you up in that location right there. So, but you still got the advantage there because you killed 3 of his bases in total right there. But now Terran's pushing you on the bottom of the map again. You had no idea he was there until he's there. This is the common problem of your game right now. Yeah, Shaggy, when you start using Ghost a little bit, like 3 Ghosts or something, to stop this specific thing from happening, it won't be so easy for you just to lose tanks like that. Like, trust me. Seriously, like in this particular situation, make like 3 Ghosts. Just 3. And be like, only controlling them when you scan like that, cloak it, and just snipe the fucking Viper. Your Ghost could be sniping the Viper from like right there. Literally. Right now. And it's out of range of Lurker. Because this is obviously fucking you really badly. Because you have nothing to deal with the Viper. And if you make Vikings and shit, he could just like parasitic bomb it. Which is not ideal either. Nice attack by Shangy right there. Nice defense by Butt Touch. You gotta fix that though. Okay, never abduct Marines. Is Snipe the same range as abduct? It's about the same, yeah, it's close. But here's the thing about Snipe though, is Snipe cast is not a Snipe range. It's weird. It's like, you know how when you have a Cyclone and you walk into lock-on range and suddenly it goes, it's way bigger. That's almost kind of like what Snipe is. Snipe is like, abduct is not 13 range. It is not 13 range. No sir, it is not 13 range. Abduct is like 10 range. And Snipe is also like 10 range, by the way. A siege tank is fucking 13, and a Viper cannot abduct as far as a siege tank can shoot. That's impossible. It's not like that. And Ghost would be a bad counter then if that's how that worked, because it's so far away. Anyways, what was I saying? I forgot now. I just read chat. I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I'm trying to remember. Oh, the Ghost thing, yeah. Because you initiate a snipe, if you have vision of the unit, it will literally stick to the unit for a while. Like, I think snipe is literally the longest range ability in the game, as long as you can see the unit. If it doesn't, like, blink or some shit. Or you can't even really blink with it. Or you could with a DT, I guess. That could, because a Stalker can't be sniped because it's mechanical. But, like, if you have a Ghost and it snipes at a Viper at max range, and a Viper is currently running away, a Viper could literally die, like, right there, and the Ghost could be way over the fuck there, even though the snipe locked onto the Viper, like, right here. If that makes sense. As long as you scan it as you snipe it, and you see it, the snipe will stick to it as it goes away, and you'll still pop it out of the sky. Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised that I'm pretty sure abduct is actually less range than snipe. Yeah, it's fucking hard to deal with ghost with viper. That ghost is a counter to viper. It literally is good versus it. I'm telling Chingy to do it. Thor with high impact payload is also not a bad counter to viper, but it's also viper can kind of counter it as well with abduct because it doesn't one shot it. They kind of counter each other. Like if you're going mech, a Thor is a good counter to viper because you have more than one Thor then. Oh shit, that's a lot of lurkers. That's a lot of lurkers. Maybe a little bit overboard. So Shangy as well, like on Terran's side, if Zerg does shit like this, you need to you can analyze this and go, okay, Viper. Viper would be a great choice here. If the Zerg is going all lurker and all Viper, Liberators would be great. Just don't stack them. Don't have them all clumped up for parasitic bombs. Have them siege, like, spread them out. Kind of green box micro a little bit to spread them out, and you'd be fine. Like, you don't even need to have like 100, like a mass libs. You don't have like 28 libs. You could have like 10 liberators, and you could fuck this army up. And you know what you could do as well? So you're fucked right now. Shaggy is going to lose this game right now. I'm just going to throw it out there. These lurkers are going to win the game. But in the verse side, if we go back to the Terran's perspective, if there was like 10 liberators that were just holding an area, and then there was medevac drops killing economy, Terran would win the game. Nice nuke. That was a good, nice attempt. But yeah, I hope it makes sense. You guys both need to scout where each other are more often. Especially the person who's behind, because, or really, especially the person who's playing mobility. The Zerg needs to scout a little bit more than the Terran does. The Terran just needs to scout where the fuck the base is. But the Zerg really needs to scout where the Terran's army is more often. Because you let him set up on you so many times this game, and you didn't need to have it happen like that at all. Like, not at all. But you did, so it made it rough for you. So I hope this helps. I hope it makes sense. And if you use mobility and you use, like, if either one of you, like, prioritizes killing bases a bit more, like harassing each other, when either one of you is on the moment where it's like, okay, my opponent has a massive power army, what do I do about this? If you just constantly backstab him, this is how you play high-level StarCraft. Everybody does this at high level. Constantly fucking each other's economy up throughout the whole game, especially when the army gets more immobile. The more immobile the army, the better backstabs are on the economy. It's just that it's like a balance. The more mobile your opponent's army is, the less you should probably focus on backstabbing their economy. The less mobile their army is, the more backstabbing their economy is great. And then vice versa, the more power your army is, the more you should try to zone their army out and kill their army. And the less power your army is, the less you should try to do that. You shouldn't be trying to look for fights when your army is not power. Is that why mech is hard at high level? Mech is hard at high level because it's very unforgiving positionally if you're not always thinking 2 steps ahead of where the game's going to go. Mech is like... Now, you know how I'm telling Butt Touch he needs to scout more to figure out where the army is? Mech needs to scout more as well. Because if you're like, I'm sieged over here. Ah, fuck, he's hitting me over here. You are never getting there to defend that. It's over. It's like, hope to God you can get here to siege up in time to defend this. Mech is very, very immobile. And the only way mech really works is if, like, you just control the game by having always good positioning with your power. That's just kind of how it is. Also, mech is very reliant on Hellions getting economy damage done, because if you get no economy damage done with your mobile Hellion harass, it puts a lot of strain on your defensive mech play after that. And it makes your opponent have a lot of shit that is going to be hard to deal with. It's the exact reason why someone like Avillo, who used to play mech all the time, was considered easier to beat than someone who played mech like Gumiho or someone that's really good at mech. The difference is how well they handle their opponent's economy. Like one player just goes, have as much as you want. I'm going to turtle. And it's like, holy fuck. It's hard to turtle when my opponent has 100 fucking workers and they just keep smashing me over the head, as opposed to a Gumiho game. He's like, you only have 50 workers right now because they keep harassing your worker line all fucking day with Banshees, with Hellions, with Liberators. And now when you attack, you don't just have endless waves of shit. So mech is very like proactive, not reactive, if that makes sense. You gotta like, even though you're reacting to shit, you have to like think about it before it happens and understand what you need to be doing 20 seconds before it happens. Because if you don't, you're gonna fucking die. Mech requires more game sense than Bio does at higher level because it's more immobile. Like both styles obviously require skill, but you need to kind of be able to predict shit with mech at high level, otherwise it'll never work. You can't just like wait for like, oh, my opponent's attacking me, let's react. By the time you react, shit's dead and you're like, well, can't really react to things anymore because my base is dead. That base is already dead now. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the views. Thank you for you know, watching the video. Hope it helps you in any way. This is a little bit of Terra information in this, but mostly Zerg. I was focusing mostly on the Zerg player's perspective on this one. So, but I am coaching both these guys. Kinda. Or I just coached Shangy right before this. But much love. I will see you guys in the next video. Good luck. Go play your hearts out. And take it easy, guys. Much love. Thank you. Bye.